What's up? Welcome back. Just another movie talk episode. It's been a while in between. Glad to be back and talking about something so, I don't know, modern, I guess. This is topical. I don't like talking about topical movies, but Aaron is Gen Z, so that's all he knows. So this was an Aaron choice.
Oh, I dance between present and past. I can jump multiple timelines. I just want to talk about some new stuff.
I wish Ezra Miller was in this one. Spoiler alert, he's not. That would have been amazing to just have him make an appearance between the timeline. I think they don't.
Regardless of anything, it just would have been edited out at this point. With
Jesus. If you haven't guessed, the movie we're talking about is called The Batman, starring Colin Farrell, Robert Pattinson, and wait, did you forget the Penguin? Who he was?
I do, because the makeup is so good, but I forgot it was really Colin Farrell.
John Turturro, and who else is in that?
Detective Gordon. I'm trying to remember
Gordon
his name.
He played Basquiat, and he's in this Oz prison. He's a great actor. I'm blanking on his name. We've got his picture up right there. I feel really bad because I really, really like that actor, and I thought he was amazing as Commissioner Gordon. This whole film is what everyone wanted from a Batman movie. It's just, lucky it was Robert Pattinson. I always forget it's the Twilight kid, right? It's
Robert Pattinson.
Edward Cullen plays Batman. This is
Jeffrey
before
Wright.
He becomes a full-blown fucking vampire. Yeah, Jeffrey Wright.
He's played Batman in two different contexts. No, but Jeffrey Wright is Commissioner Gordon, and I'm not gonna blow my load yet, but I love that actor in a lot of the things he does. Like,
he's amazing.
He voiced the Watcher in the What If series.
Yeah, he did.
And I was like, I believe the fuck out of that.
Yeah,
he's so good. And Westworld I first saw him there.
He's one of the young coders in Westworld, right?
Yeah,
one of the young programs. Anthony Hopkins is like protege.
Yeah. Oh, I thought he was
anyway.
I can't. It's been a minute.
So we forget we have a format here, but on this show, we're going to try to keep it as close as we can. We're going to sum up almost a 3-hour movie and go through our other segments. Actually, our other segments took the chop because we're just going to move right from what are you watching to the movie review. So let's just start the program with the segment, what are you watching? So it's been a while. I've been on Netflix, I've been on Hulu, I've consolidated, ESPN Plus, CNN Plus has come and gone, rest in peace during that timeline.
Oh no, we were off for like a month. I thought it started when we were on our hiatus, and then it died by the end of our return.
Netflix is in hot water with their shareholders over some, I guess,
password sharing,
misrepresentation of their earnings, and they're being sued by their shareholders.
That's what's going on?
Yeah, because they're losing money, right? Everybody thought everything was like on the level, and then they report back-to-back subscription loss, and they anticipate more subscription losses, and shareholders are like, yo, you told us things were gravy, so that's why we stayed, or we bought more and you lied to us, and like that's the whole thing. And so now, if Netflix goes ad tier, I'm dropping my Netflix and I'm just gonna have straight HBO Max, because HBO Max is killing the game. I'm basically in there all the time now instead of Netflix.
I completely agree. I keep trying to get rid of my HBO Max because I hate that every platform is putting in ads and a pay for no ads version. Like, I get it. You got to have ads to make money. You're still a business. But at the same time, if Netflix adds ads, it's a game over, because they're the last platform. Mm-hmm. They're already getting rid of password sharing. That's how I'm getting my Netflix right now. Yeah. If I'm being honest.
So the password sharing thing is like, you can't pull that rug out once you've given that to somebody, because now that feels like you're nickel and diming your base. And if that wasn't cool, you should have let us know from the get-go, right? But Netflix seems to always recover. The big sort of hubbub they had was like, I had streaming and CDs. And then they were like, nope, we're splitting these both. And if you want to keep your DVDs and your streaming, we're going to charge you X amount. And you're like, what? And at that time, DVDs were being like phased out. I was just upset I was being charged twice, even though I haven't actually put a DVD into a DVD player in like almost a year at that point. Right. So
I was gonna say Redbox was coming in to like erase Blockbuster around,
and then it felt like Netflix.
just really shot its brains out.
I went on when I was living in San Jose, I went on a date with a young lady who was like telling me that Redbox was going to rule the world and do all this other stuff. And honestly, at that time, I was like, this is our last date. You know, like, but like that kind of misjudgment, like somebody be like, you know, Quibi's going to be the next big thing. I'd be like,
yeah.
It's like I can't plan a future with somebody who's this bad instincts. You know, so like,
I'm still surprised. I'm still surprised Redboxes are still there. Like I still go to a Safeway for groceries, and I'll still see that like on my way out, and I'm like, you can rent all of those like off anything else for the same price, if not cheaper, and you don't have to go back to Safeway.
You could probably find everything in Redbox at the Walmart bin for $2 and keep
it forever.
Right? Like that's
the
trade-off. I don't know. It's
no re-edits when it comes to streaming.
But who's that market for? That's got to be for the older crowd. You know,
it's 100. Yeah. Okay. So we never answered the question. What are we watching?
Yeah.
What are you
watching? Netflix while we have it. I'm like finishing up Doom Patrol. I haven't gotten into Moon Knight yet. Westworld was one of the ones that me and my lady started watching. She's just like way ahead of me in terms of the consumption stuff. And I'm like, we should watch this together. She's like, I've already seen it. I was like, oh damn it, we should watch this together. I've already seen it. But now I want to watch like the rest of Ozark, and she's not seen it, so she's like, oh, let me catch up. She's never gonna catch up, so I'm gonna just like sneak and watch it on my own time.
That's how I play some things right now. Like Lauren didn't. Okay, so I keep trying to get rid of HBO Max, but I have been rewatching or continuing Young Justice from like because I only finished at season 2 and I never went past it, and I was so hyped when season 4 came out recently, but I didn't even see 3. So right now it's you can tell they're working on a budget on season 3. Like there a lot of the same voice actors are like multiple enemies and heroes and villains, and like you hear Nolan North in 50 different characters each episode. But at the same time, he's a really good voice actor. And the story is like the most engaging part, of course. Like it feels so grounded for like a DC show. Like all the superheroes have become political figures, and other like Batman just left the league because there were too many restrictions, kind of like Civil War-ish, but the way they no, I'm saying like that's the concept. Like Iron Man leaves, Batman leaves. But here's what I'm saying. In Young Justice, they handle it with so much more tact. Like you actually see the espionage missions that Batman has to do on his own, and these and the secret division of the Justice League of these kids just trying to help other meta kids not be trafficked,
ostracized.
No, literally trafficked, ostracized and trafficked. But like their weapons for like a lot of different people, like drug lords and actual supervillains. I don't know. It's such a really well done show. I'm excited where it's going.
The reason I think, and I was just drawn into the vivid colors and the imagery and like the big names of Batman, Superman. But I think why I stayed more in the DC space as I got older was because of I wasn't recognizing all this political backdrop with the Marvel universe, right? Like these things have real world consequences and how they play into it, right? Like the variation of the Superman comic where his pod lands in Russia instead of in Kansas, right? And towards, was it Manhattan versus Superman, Doomsday Clock, right? Alan Moore is basically like the Federation of Russia and their metahumans, and then what is Black Adam's country becomes like a safe harbor for metahumans, and then you've got the US metahumans and shit. Lex Luthor was always kind of like a philosophically not an anti-hero. He's definitely a villain, but he was like, it seems unfair that this alien can come here and do all these things. I've got all these means, like I will be second to no man. And
oh no, I like that point of view, because that's why I stuck to a lot of, like, remember, we're going to get into it, but the animated series with Kevin Conroy for the Batman and Superman, those were prime examples of like the political
mafia
that Lex Luthor can do, or the mafia, and
Gotham, always,
and it's just so fascinating to watch that part, because you see that this Superman or Batman, they're kind of like god tier characters in terms of their strength and abilities, and they could do like the fact that Batman's even comparable that's why I'm saying that, and that you still see them struggle with like these elements where it's like I really can't affect this with just my skills alone. Like there's more factors outside. Like I'm trying to think of something specific from like the cartel, but basically like a lot of political factors just affecting their scenario, you know? It's I like that.
I enjoy that too. It's Batman versus Superman trailer, right? I got really excited for it because I thought it was going to play into that more, right? Lawrence Fishburne delivering the line is like, no one wants to see Clark Kent take on the Batman.
Yeah.
And Clark talking about like the morality of vigilantism, and then they confront each other at Lex Luthor's party. It was like that scene would have played out so much better if Bruce Wayne knew who Clark Kent was.
Yeah,
because that insult of like freaks dressed like clowns didn't really go over. Doesn't play the same if he's just throwing that at a reporter. But if he knows that. Or does he know? It's like, oh.
I wish there was like some nod to it. Like I don't need everything spelled out. I just need one hint. It could be one frame that just tells me, okay, something about this character. And yeah, there really wasn't that in sometimes in BVS. In fact, I even thought it was funny how Lawrence Fishburne, like telling Henry Cavill's Clark Kent, is just like, no one wants to see Batman versus Superman in this newspaper. Now go write about this high school college team or this college football team. And I'm like, but I feel like this is more taxing, or this is gonna get some views. But regardless,
the DC universe. This is honestly why I really like the Batman, because by the time most people catch up to Clark Kent or Bruce Wayne, their reputation precedes them. They don't show the crawl that Batman, like the clout Batman had to earn by literally walking into a mafia den by himself and walking out, and then also the damage it does to the body, when really by the time he encounters and creates the Justice League, he's pretty much seen it all and he's got a dossier on everything. So he's like super duper prepared for everything. But that's, what I'm watching. The closest thing that I'm watching to the DC parallel is Doom Patrol season 3. I'm finally working my way through that. And it's great. It's got some time travel items on it, some decent call outs, some OP characters too. The Fog is like super OP. But so was the Candlemaker. These like all like I can't help but think when I see that, because Batman and Superman are somewhere in this world, right? Cyborg is there. He's trying to, Star Labs exists. He's trying to get into the Justice League. Like, why, Robot Man, like alludes to it. He's like, just can't you call Batman or something to come deal with this? Like, don't you know him? Right? It's like, yeah, this is fucking way too much, man. Throw up a flare. This is insane.
And Brendan Fraser being in that role kills me. Like, I love that, and he nails it as being this like hothead, like douche, like sometimes, but with a heart of gold sometimes, where he's like trying to like be a decent father to his grandkid. Like, I haven't finished season 3 yet. Like, I'm loving it, but they wrapped up the Candlemaker stuff too quickly for me. So now I'm like, But they are the Doom Patrol, so it's like they got to deal with like, it's kind of fun to also be like they're dealing with a new end world scenario every time. But just sometimes I'm like, oh, I was really attached to that Candlemaker arc. That kind of.
I really wish that Kipling, they could just call him who he is, right? They could just say this is Constantine. But that's one of those marketing ownership things. It's unfair. It's really silly. And it's unfortunate, but they like that's what I hate about the business aspect of creatives and movie making. And like, we don't give you the rights to bring this character because we don't know where we have to sign off on how you're going to portray him, and also we need our cut. And we need to agree on what that cut is. That's
hella weird too, because like, it's 100% Constantine. They just couldn't name it that. And it sucks because like Legends of Tomorrow, I heard just got canceled, and I'm happy about that. But Constantine from the NBC show was on that. Yeah, I know. And now he's been on 2 things canceled as Constantine, and he's such a good, fun actor. Like he has a lot of charisma as that character. And it's very
Constantine's a fun
to
character to
watch.
play. I'm sure.
It's weird that Warner Brothers I thought they had the rights to all of DC, so it's weird that I'm like, you'd figure that they'd be able to throw him in there like the snap of a finger.
It's the
they did
Warner
the same thing on
Brothers
Teen Titans.
Sony Spider-Man thing, right? Like
Mm.
Sony owned all the rights really to commercial use of Spider-Man or something like that, and they had to give
Well,
it
it was
back to Warner Brothers.
No, it was like Marvel had were going bankrupt at one point, and they had to sell off their characters to different places, like X-Men to Fox and Spider-Man to Sony. But then when it comes to Warner Brothers, I'm so confused because I don't think there was a moment where they had to sell their roster of characters, or is it just like we don't want to have a crossover thing, like only the CW can have this Constantine now because this, because Doom Patrol is like technically an HBO show or HBO Max.
Well, I don't know. I hate it when that happens, but one of the things that both DC and Marvel are doing, the multiverse of madness, and the Flash with his time travel display, is now you can bring in any actor from any universe and it makes sense. So you can have that crossover play and not have to do too much of a reach to explain it away, right? Like the whole like Infinite Earth sort of crisis and jumping between universe and the Flash CW and Ezra Miller crossover,
that was fun.
It makes it work, and that's amazing, and I love that. So usually with these stories you have to figure out how you're going to write these guys in that doesn't make it really ham-fisted, sort of like too much, but now it works. And the only obstacle to the crossovers that everyone wants to see are the executives, are the legal rights parts of it, right? Like that's really, no one can be like creative differences, like no, you can make this work if you want to. Like, do you really fucking want to? It's like strong arm business negotiations that are keeping it from happening.
Totally. Like still shocking to me that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were able to like pop in that movie,
that they
No
pulled
Way
that
Home.
off.
Yeah. Like, and you brought up Multiverse of Madness, which is another thing of what am I watching? Just saw it yesterday.
You saw it?
And yeah, just saw it yesterday. It just came out this weekend, and I love Sam Raimi. I fucking love this man. He has a ton of plot holes sometimes, but what he does with his visuals to get you where he wants you to go, I love it. The movie, honestly, you could go in sober, drunk, or high, but you will feel drunk or high watching this movie. It is a trip, and it is amazing. And there's a lot of like Evil Dead nods to Sam Raimi's old directing style. Like, it feels like a horror movie when the characters are dealing with the main villain. And I think a lot of stuff was spoiled in the trailers from what I'm hearing, because some people were like, "Oh, I knew that," but I only saw the first one with Xavier in it, like his voice. His voice was in it.
Is Tom Cruise in it?
I'll spoil that because that's not really a spoiler, but no, he's not, and I'm really sad. I wish he was Superior Iron Man in this one with like
who
the
is
silver
Superior
getup.
Iron Man? Let me go.
They don't.
I mean,
I don't.
They don't reveal that.
There's not an Iron Man. I'll say that. That's the only thing. And
is there a Black Bolt?
I mean, I'm sure the spoilers will be way out at this point. Wait, how do you know about why do you ask Black Bolt when Inhumans was such a failed series?
Just because of the comic. He's in the Illuminati. He becomes like him and Reed from Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm sure this will come out by the time spoilers and no one gives a shit, so I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Black Bolt did appear in this, and I was super happy by that. Like because Sam Raimi does what I want comic book movies to do. Commit to the insanity of this world. You know what I mean? Like Black Bolt in the comics looks ridiculous. Just like a whole skin tight black suit and then like little white lines and a pitchfork on his head. Like a tiny little one. A tiny little tuning fork on his forehead. And it's just like,
does he look like that in the movie?
He verbatim looks like that.
That's cool.
And
it looks hilarious and great. That's like regal in his timeline.
Yeah. Like,
is the Submariner
like
in there?
No, they weren't going to throw that in there.
Well, who's in the Illuminati then?
You got No, this is probably art. Again, this is out. I keep thinking of spoilers, but then the release of when this is coming out. So Black Bolt's in it, and then you also have Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And Xavier.
Is it the Mr. Fantastic from the old Jessica Alba ones?
No, but
it's a
I
brand
think
new
it's
cast.
honestly, yeah, it is. But it feels like it feels like Disney or Marvel was just like, we're gonna do what the fans liked on Twitter the most. Because do you remember who they fan cast as Mr. Fantastic a couple years ago? Like
No.
everyone on Twitter was like, it was like there was this one little piece of fan art that went out and everybody flipped their mind. And I was like against it at first, but I think it paid off. I think he does a good job for what time he's in it. And it's Jim from The Office, John Krasinski. Why? Okay, what bothers you about that?
I really like the original Mr. Fantastic in the
He did
film.
good.
I thought he fit that. Like Tobey Maguire was Spider-Man the best, I feel like, even though the optics of his Spider-Man weren't the greatest. I feel like that actor, I can't remember his name.
I know he hasn't done anything good besides that. You know what I mean? And no one likes that version of Fantastic Four. Even though Fantastic Four is like the cheesiest comic book out there, you got to have a cheesy movie that matches that tone. So I'm fine with those versions.
Who was sitting around the council? Was it two different versions of Professor X?
No, it was just straight up Xavier. It was just straight up the guy. And you even hear like a slight like a little motif as he slides in, and I'm like, this is great. But again, okay, so it's a blessing and a curse sometimes. I'll just say this, where Xavier comes in and you hear the 90s animated show theme. And you know how in that show he's like in like this wheelchair that has this, bumper car yellow dome on the front of it. Like it's like, it doesn't look like a wheelchair. It looks like a really big bumper car,
like a hover car. Yeah,
that's basically what he committed to in this one. Yeah, he's in a giant yellow thing
that hovers. It's the comic. It's the animated.
It's not hovering. Version. It's more like just slowly wheeling around. It looks like a Segway, an armored Segway.
Did you see wheels on it?
No, I didn't see it, but you don't see it float either. They don't make that distinction. Like you just see it top up, and you don't see it hovering off the ground at any point. So I think it's pretty grounded for the most part. I don't know.
So if it's the yellow chair that kind of like slopes down, that's a hover chair. So the fact that they don't show wheels doesn't imply wheels. I would assume it's a hover chair,
I guess, but I don't remember a shot of them specifically like showing it, or even in a wide shot when he's hovering. You can't really tell if he's off the floor or not. Yeah,
I'm sure people will. It'll be enough to insinuate.
Hashtag does the chair float?
Who's you never answered who's around the fucking table?
So it's Xavier in that classic suit, and then you have Black Bolt, Mr. Fantastic. You got Captain you have Captain Marvel, but the version where it's her friend that got the powers instead of Brie Larson, which I am down for.
Okay.
Because I am not a Brie Larson fan, and neither is the cast that had to work with her.
Is Dr. Doom?
No, I wish, but no, he's not there. Why would Mr. Fantastic be there if Dr. Doom was? Actually, there's like, I watched one review thing that was implied he stole tech from Dr. Doom. Not a review. It was more like a Easter egg kind of thing.
Dr. Doom's kind of OP.
He's kind of, he's broken. And the leader of a nation. So I really, I wish he was in it in any regard, but it's more just like a subtle, very subtle reference to him. Where
he snatches Thanos' spine right out of his body while he's wearing the fucking...
Are you serious?
There's like a comic that has him wearing an Infinity Glove. I think it's fan made, but it's like that seems about right. And Doctor,
I would believe it.
I'm gonna if I can find it, I'll put it up on the screen right now. Boom.
I watch Death Battle, so I know Doctor Doom's pretty OP against Darth Vader specifically. So that's the Illuminati, and the last guy there is he's from the first Doctor Strange. I'm trying to remember him. He looks awesome. No, he became a villain like in the end credits.
The black dude with the cornrows.
Yeah,
he's on the Illuminati.
Yeah, as the Sorcerer Supreme in a multiverse. Yeah, and in that multiverse, in that section, in that corner, in that universe. And I like that because that's the fun of a multiverse. You should be able to switch up shit like that at a moment's notice. In fact, there's even one line in the movie where they're like, "Oh, you still pay for food? That's weird." Oh, like everybody's just getting being taken care of.
They reintroduce him as a good character.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Doctor Strange from the Marvel, what was it? What Ifs? That's the villain. Like the Doctor Strange that's like absorbing the essence of every animal he summons.
Here's the thing. I want you to.
No,
Will me spoiling the villain ruin your perception of it? Because I think
No.
there's a moment in the first minute. There's like 15 minutes. It's I got a vibe where I'm like, I'm enjoying this and it looks great. But is this going to turn into utter schlock? Like, is this going to be like just a generic movie or that really doesn't connect that well? And then after a certain point, when you figure out who the villain is, it's like, okay, I'm in. I'm down. I'm here for this ride.
For those of you listening, when I ask Aaron to describe something, it's its own journey, right? And it may or may not even make sense at the time. So it'll be as if I never saw. Having him explain it to me would be like if I saw it again, it'd be for the first time, right? Because it'll make just as much sense as the multiverse itself.
I seem to have that effect on people. Okay, all right. I'll just say it then. But basically,
is it Wanda? Did she do the mind thing again? Are we all trapped in her head?
It is Wanda. It's Wanda. Yeah. And I think, no, but see, like if you watch WandaVision and then go to this is the only way to take this character.
Sure,
this is the only way that makes sense.
She was going very evil in her manifestation of pure energy. The Red Witch kind of thing. Yeah, the Scarlet Witch.
She brainwashed a whole town. And then like gave them probably PTSD. And then there's one line in the movie where Doctor Strange is like, "No, you did the best you could, and you fixed that problem. You let him go." And I whispered to like Lauren, I was like, "No, she didn't fix that problem. And they're probably still dealing with the trauma of being controlled for a month or months on end by this woman." So the fact that it shifted and she was like, it's kind of a tale about her trying to get to her kids through the multiverse. It's a little into the Spider-Verse in that regard, where Kingpin is just trying to do the same thing. But
she's trying to get to a version of that world where they came to fruition and everything turned out fine.
Yeah.
She sees that there's a possibility and she's going to stop at nothing to like see that possibility through. Yeah.
And making her this villain was perfect. She just nailed it in every regard. There were some scenes early on where she was like whispering in the sky, telling everybody everything, like an ominous speech. But it's like, you're whispering. I don't know how anyone's fucking hearing you. You're like 100 yards in the air.
So we did see Evil Strange in the trailer. Where did he take up? Or did he not transition to that evil point at that point? Or was that a question? Was that another version of Strange, or was that this Strange?
It was a marketing thing, because it was another version of Strange. Because in the trailer, you think it's going to be the What If Doctor Strange that went all super evil and was like pretty much the most interesting episode of What If. But it's not. It's more an implied, this is another Doctor Strange that made his universe like a deserted wasteland kind of thing. So it's not the same one as What If.
They never cross paths?
They do cross paths and have a fight, but it's not what you wanted. It's not even a third of what it was in What If, where they had like the dragons coming out of his arms and he's like casting spells and everything. It's not that interesting. There is one interesting fight with them though, where they're actually fighting with music. Like they're taking the chords off of paper, the note chords off of sheet paper, and they're turning those sigils into weapons and casting them at each other. And I thought that was a really nice scene, because Hans Zimmer does the music, and so he's also he's like matching the music to each hit that they're throwing back and forth, and as they're charging up, the symphony's just blaring. I love it.
The Baby Driver kind of effect.
Yeah, I like that effect, because it's hard to do. Like, I don't think it would be easy to do a Baby Driver movie like that. And so to do that, well, Baby Driver did it better than Doctor Strange, but that's not the
question.
Yeah.
I don't think, you see, this is where I'm telling with the stories. I don't think you finished your round table of people. Was that everybody? Is Captain Carter at the table?
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah. I forgot. She is there. She is also there. Well,
yeah, it's like I never heard anything, right? In one ear, out the other. Because they reference Captain Carter in IMDb, and that's another what if scenario.
Yeah, that she was there. I did forget about that, because she doesn't really do as much as I wanted her to. But she has some great moments. Don't get me wrong, but I thought she would do even more.
Did they make her look beefy?
The suit,
they bulk her up.
Suit, not as much in the animated version. Like she has like Steve Rogers' body, you know what I mean, in the animated version. But in this one, you can tell it's like a really tough, good fitting suit. So they beefed her up a little bit. Yeah, they gave her a jetpack. Thought that was fun.
Okay, well, let's not get into spoilers. I spent a lot of time watching trailers, but we're not here to talk about Marvel. We're here to talk about DC. And I guess it's time to move into actual movie review. And the movie we're reviewing now is The Batman. Again, starring Colin Farrell, Jeffrey Wright, Robert Pattinson, and John Turturro. And Kravitz, Zoe Kravitz, who I really, really liked as Catwoman. What are you doing? What is that?
I'm doing the theme. That's the theme of the movie. They were like,
Stop it.
Like every now and again, they were. Fine.
Please.
Zoe Kravitz was great.
And Paul Dano playing the Riddler, I thought was great. So overall movie, telling the story, and also the acting in the film and the visuals of the film, I'm going to score this movie very high. TLDR, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's great. Probably one of the best Batmans, if not the best Batman in recent memory.
100%.
And I really, really liked. I hope that they continue with this Robert Pattinson and, Zoe Kravitz, Jeffrey Wright trajectory, maybe for at least 5 to 7 years. So maybe 10 years, so that we can sort of see the growth of the legend over time, fighting these mafia stars, right? This is the universe that Chris Nolan was desperately trying to make.
100%.
And it blows, in my opinion, Christian Bale's out of the water. Because we get to see a lot of the grit action, right? It felt very cartoony watching Christian Bale beat up henchmen and do multiple things. But you look at Robert Pattinson in this as Bruce Wayne, as Batman, thinking he's a normal guy. You're like, this is, how much can one guy take, right? Like what that's the allure to me of who Batman is as a person. It's like, you're not this, are you? And from walking into Falcone's club to squaring off with Superman, you're like, if it's not me, who the hell is it? And the narration aspect of it, I really appreciated, because it talks through all the self-doubt, all the lack of fear, and all the awareness of who he is, his place in Gotham, and the concerns that I can't be everywhere at once and I'm just one guy. What am I even doing? Am I having any effect whatsoever? But like,
it felt so good. It felt so grounded in that regard. Like the narration didn't. I like appropriate use of narration in a movie. Like that tells me more about the character that we wouldn't have learned their thoughts on outside of something like that. So the narration is perfect, because even from the very beginning, where you hear him talking and describing, like, I'm in the shadows, it's not about me, or it's kind of like, it's not about me being everywhere. It's like the fear that I could be anywhere, hopefully, is enough to help. And it builds tension really well through the narration and the slow, like, lurking scenes. See, I'm gonna ask you one question. Did you like the length of the movie? Because me personally, I greatly appreciated it. Being in this world felt like I was in the Arkham Asylum games. You know what I mean? Like, it felt that dirty and grimy.
This was the slowest action movie I'd seen in a while, but it all paid off at various points. And even when you thought it was over, there was still another, 30, 45 minutes of quality content playing out on screen. And I had no problem with the duration of it, because it didn't feel long, just like, the Snyder Justice League. And I think people, they could have easily turned this into a 3-part episodic, right? And do that bullshit.
Well, they're doing that with Penguin.
I think people have the appetite for this sort of like, if you make it well enough, the world in terms of social media and video consumption is getting smaller and smaller. The rise of TikTok. First it was like the YouTube videos, and now it's the TikTok and the Vine generation. So the desire, the hunch, like the trend is to like make it shorter, right? Quibi, CNN Plus, that bullshit. But there's still a place for this longer form films that need to be digested just like sitting. I think it worked better for me, because I saw it from the leisure of my house. I did pause it to take a piss. But that I might
You
have felt,
Philistine.
I know I might have felt different if I had to go to the bathroom in the movie theater, right? I'm like running down the stairs
Yeah.
in the dark, running in the back because I don't want to miss a key moment because it's a movie about the Riddler. And so you want to track the clues as well as Batman does, right? You want to try to piece this
Totally.
together too. And on that aspect, I think they built out an amazing Riddler and an amazing sort of Arkham ending. So implying, so this film takes place, you know, Batman year 2. He even talks about it in his narration.
Yeah.
He says, I've been doing this for 2 years and blah, blah, blah. And everyone's like, yeah, you're becoming a celebrity, Alfred, all that stuff. And, you know, the only other villain in jail at that point was, that you see at least, is the Joker. So in year 1, he probably spent a large portion of his time trying to track and capture the Joker.
Here's one of my complaints about the Batman, actually, is that scene. Like, there's a scene where you hear the Joker and they actually try and whisper to the Riddler and the Joker try to whisper each other through the cells, prison cells. That's the only thing that kind of bothers me about this movie. The fact that they felt the need to put the Joker in. I get it. It's Batman's ultimate villain, but we've seen a lot of iterations of the Joker before. And at this point, and we already have the Joaquin Phoenix version, I don't even want to see a new version. I would rather see Joaquin Phoenix just get thrown into that. It's clearly not, but at the same time,
for you.
But it's, well, at the same, I don't think it's for either of us.
No, this is it. They didn't throw it in to be like, oh, people will like the Joker. I mean, there's probably a small percentage aspect of that, but the fact that
think about how much.
The fact that they started it at year 2 also shows the question of like, well, what was he doing the year before, right? He's talking about, am I making a change? What was he busting low-level mobsters and gangsters? Like, no, here's exactly who he was dealing with in his first year. And right, like the first year Batman becomes Batman, that's who he consistently like comes up against time and time again. Like that, I think that sets it up for the potential to use him in the future.
Yeah, let's just say I think sometimes less is more. So I will say the Batman and the Dark Knight are kind of on the same levels, but for different reasons. I don't know why you would shrug at that, because that movie was very, very well done. But here's the thing: it's for that. The Dark Knight is more commercial, where it's like it's for a lot of mass audiences. A lot of people can comprehend that movie and digest it very quickly. It's very well told and gets a lot of Batman's major points across as that character. For this one, its length adds to dissecting what is really wrong with Batman and how he uses people, even his allies, like with Jim Gordon. I think you just hate those movies because his voice. If you redub those movies with someone else's voice, you might enjoy them and see them in a different light.
Bane and Catwoman were absolutely fucking ridiculous.
I'm saying The Dark Knight, not Rises.
It's the same universe. It's the same universe. Same characters.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Well, my point is, I like The Dark Knight. I hate The Dark Knight Rises because The Dark Knight Rises cut off Nolan's universe from doing more of this shit. We could have had a longer film series.
Nolan's problem was that Nolan was not set for super villains. He should have done, Gotham City is full of gangsters. He should have gone the gangster route, because that would have made it way more survivable, right? Like Scarecrow is as close to a super villain that he could have done without any issue. But
do you mean in reference to Dark Knight Rises or to Dark Knight? Because in Dark Knight, they were dealing with the Falcone family throughout like a court case and stuff like that. They were dealing with a crime family then. In Dark Knight Rises, they weren't.
They were dealing with Scarecrow. Scarecrow was the villain.
I really think we should rewatch these movies, dude.
No. Anyway.
Yeah, okay.
So Martin Scorsese, an amazing director, American filmmaker, class all to himself, said, you know, modern movies are, especially like the Spider-Mans and the Dark Knights and things like that, he's like, they're like amusement parks. He's like, he fought really hard to get movies to a respectable level. So to see this sort of popcorn sort of like shtick turn out left and right, it offended. He's like, it's just not for me. And people like threw up their hands to that. What I would say with Martin Scorsese, probably didn't like The Dark Knight, but Martin Scorsese would probably like The Batman.
I don't think that,
if that makes sense to people listening, the difference in terms of the aesthetic and how the movie pushes forward. I think that's the big difference between Nolan and Who directed this actually?
Matt Reeves, the guy who did Dawn of the
Reeves.
Planet of the Apes and that
Oh
whole series.
yeah, dude.
Right?
Yeah, this
He's
guy
very
is so
good at
gritty.
making some. Yeah, he's very good at making something feel grounded and real and intense. Like even in the sound design. Well, first of all, I'm going to touch on this. Martin Scorsese did not say that in reference to Dark Knight.
He said that in general. He didn't say it in
No,
reference to Dark Knight.
he referenced the MCU, which I agree with. There's a lot of moments where it's like, this is just schlock. This is just popcorn food movie. This is,
It was
but then there's other times where it's like, this is style.
Yeah, it was
presentation.
asked in reference to the MCU specifically, but he meant it in terms of like all superhero movies. That's
Okay.
exactly.
I feel like that's your takeaway on that one. I don't,
Alright.
because like on the internet, regardless, what I'm saying is a lot of people I talk to, like some friends and coworkers, were like, the length of it kills it for me. Like, I wish it was shorter. You could have cut it down. And I'm like, no, because
What would
every
you cut?
scene, yeah, exactly. Like, what would you
cut?
get rid of that would make
These people.
that would keep it as engaging? Because the pacing, think about it, every scene perfectly leads into the next one. And I mean, like, that's like, that should be bare minimum, but there's a lot of movies where it's like, okay, I guess we'll just go over there, and it's not like a narrative. Like, he gets the thumb drive to the first murder victim's car in the Batman.
You don't especially for a film where there's a lot of riddles and nested messages. You're not lost, right? You never, after the first scene, the very first scene of the film, you always have a frame of reference for where you're being transitioned to. It happens pretty well when you take your time.
Yeah,
I feel like this is why I don't fucking listen to what people have to say when it comes to like,
oh, what would you change about the movie?
Here we are, we're talking, people don't really give a shit, but we're venting on the internet, but
I'm
people
curious.
will always have a fucking problem.
Yeah,
I have
because
a problem with a lot.
I will say this. I had to tell a lot of people Dark Knight Rises sucked. This is why I like to make the distinction. Dark Knight Rises, it has a lot of problems with it, and I feel like it shits on what came before by ignoring it. So for this one, when people complain about the length, it's unjustified. It does it because it's so... Honestly, there's a ton of scenes where you just see Batman in almost like he's straight out of the 90s Kevin Conroy animated series, where he's just doing what he needs to get to his ends. Like, he's putting the camera contacts in Selena Kyle's eyes so she can go investigate the club for her. She's like, you don't even care what happens to me, do you? And he's just like, look up. And he's putting the contacts already in her eyes. Like,
say, so I know exactly the
not
scene
like
that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But let's break down here, listeners, the difference in descriptive explaining styles. So you can
I'm
sort of
speaking
see.
quickly.
I really loved the interactions between Selena Kyle and Bruce Wayne. And for everybody who knows their story, right, they turn eventually into lovebirds. But like, this was sort of like their courting dance where, they keeping it professional, or at least Batman was trying to. And the impression was like, is this when they kiss? Is this when they kiss? You always had that, like, is this where it gets sort of like the eroticism of, Batman and Catwoman? Is that where that comes into play? And the one scene that he's talking about, which I really liked, was he was sending Selena Kyle in disguise to a gang hideout, and he had these contacts that helps him take photographs of stuff. Spoiler alert, by the way. And
surveillance.
So it's great. And so she says, I'm beginning to feel like a fish on a hook. You don't really care what happens to me at all. And he walks slowly over to her and he goes, look at me. And he like grabs her by the chin, and he like, when you're like talking to your partner, he's like, look, and she thinks he's about to come in for a kiss. And he's like, those contacts look like they're working now, right? He's looking deep in her eyes, but he's like checking the quality of the contacts. And there are many moments like that throughout the film. One is like when he pins her down to like take something out of her hand.
Oh yeah.
And then
if this was a rated R movie, they would have gone straight to fucking like.
So there's a lot of that in there. And I appreciated that because it does add that tension. I really, really like Zoe as Catwoman.
She felt like also right out of the comics. Actually, a lot of Selena, Catwoman, Batman, and Jim Gordon all feel so true to the characters from the comics. Like, they just nail their roles perfectly. I love it.
I really
Yeah.
liked Colin's rendition of the Penguin as well. This is kind of like
Mhm.
the rise of the Penguin too, right? There were no exploding penguin wind-up heads.
Yeah.
There's none of that sort of bullshit.
The
But
iceberg
you can
lounge isn't even
see,
cold yet.
yeah, you can kind of see how he develops his, I guess, empire, how he comes of age. Because right now he's technically a henchman, right? He's like
Yeah.
a lieutenant in the Falcone mafia. So there are
How
going
do
to
you
be a lot of people potentially coming out of the woodwork with like the mafia stuff, like Black Mask too, Scarface, right? Like the
Mm.
gang element in Batman
It's fucking real.
in Gotham is real. Gotham is the worst place in the world to live, honestly.
Yeah, it should. I love what Matt Reeves does with Gotham because it feels
Yeah.
like it's its own character too. Like it is a grimy, dirty city filled with all these different gangs and crime families and stuff like that. So you could feel that. You could feel that pressure a lot. You know.
He's got you've got Zaz, you've got Hugo Strange, you've got the Hatter, right? You got so
Yeah.
many you got so many people to like bring out.
I'm happy that okay. First of all, two things were I think greenlit already because the Batman 2 there will be a sequel. And how do you feel about the Penguin getting his own HBO show? He's that's already in the works. He's supposed to get his own thing.
I'm all right with it.
Like
I'm
okay.
all because especially if it shows you what's happening in parallel, right? Like I am totally okay with that.
I'm conflicted because I really
Why?
love Colin Farrell's performance and that makeup. I didn't even believe it was him the whole time, and honestly, like I heard this is a stupid complaint I had some coworkers say too. I wish it was more funny, and I'm like, it's not a fucking Marvel movie. And it is very funny. There's what? Why would you not hate me saying that?
Movie. Because that premise is like, well, DC is dark and Marvel is funny. It's like no, there's humor in both, and like that makes so many. It assumes so much that it puts the conversation on bad footing to begin with.
Okay. Well, I'm saying it's not a Marvel movie because every scene, whether it's a really action or tense scene or not, they fill with like, huh, that was crazy. You know, like a one-liner after they beat someone to death or something. After Captain America throws a shield into a dude's head and he falls off a boat or something. You know what I mean? But with this one, the funny moments are there are still funny moments, and B, the moments are more realistic. Like it was kind of funny how Jim Gordon worked with Batman. He was like, listen, you're gonna punch me, okay? And then and then you're gonna make a run for the exit. And then later in the movie when they touch on that, he's like, you could have held back. He's like, I did. Yeah,
I did. Could have pulled the punch.
Oh, and I'm gonna say it again, Robert Pattinson looks like he walked straight out of the Arkham games, like, and he feels like the animated series Batman. Like he's just perfect.
I don't think
I
so.
loved it.
So
really,
I disagree with that because I like the militia suit of Batman. I really like the fact that like you can sort of put together that between now and when he becomes, the Ben Affleck version of Batman, that he's like, okay, this shoulder pad does work, this one doesn't, these knee pads don't work, these do, because he's walking around basically like in cargo shorts and like cut proof gloves, right? Like he's not it's not the fully put together bat suit. He's like he's refining and he's refining it. The same for his bike and the same for his car. Right, he's constantly working and iterating on these things and improving these things. So I think in the next one you're gonna see a lot more cool fucking gadgets.
Yeah.
And what I'm hoping in the Penguin breakout, right? Like you introduce the narratives of people like Harvey Dent, right? Because the district attorney was murdered, which means the assistant DA, Harvey Dent, can now become a prominent figure in Gotham. So you can tell the story of good guy Dent trying to stifle bad guy Penguin, or maybe the beginnings of a Clayface or an Ivy or something. Like how if you wanted to test how the super meta-human aspect of this would play out, that's how you would do it. Also, Luthor and like it's Gotham Enterprises and it's Star Industries, right? Like those are the two megacorp, right? They know each other. And I really appreciate that Bruce Wayne has no interest in running a company, especially at 24. Yeah.
Well, I think that's the growth of this character, because like
He knows he's
I
gonna
know
need it.
because there's like, remember, there's one scene alone that can foreshadow that in the Batman, where he goes to the Iceberg Lounge as Batman. He kicks the shit out of everybody until he gets to Penguin, and then the next time he goes as Bruce Wayne, or Bruce Wayne, and he immediately is allowed in. He walks straight to Falcone and is led there. And it's just crazy because it's like you get these subtle hints, the flaws and the perfections with Batman.
Everybody knows who he is.
Down. Yeah.
He's like, they did a really good job when was it George Clooney and Val Kilmer showed up at parties as like a socialite. They're like, and it's Batman and it's Bruce Wayne. Who is this lovely lady on your arm? You know, they did that whole flowery comic book shit because it's like, it's there. He's an influencer slash like he's like Elon Musk. I hate that fucking comparison, but like that's who he is, right? He's Elon Musk at the Met Gala in most instances. Where in this one, he's like sort of like the reclusive. He rarely like comes out. Who's somebody rich and famous right now who you know is rich and famous who you barely fucking see hanging out with people? He's like if Daniel Day-Lewis was a billionaire, right? You'd be like, oh shit, like this guy is out and about. Like, oh, okay.
Oh, and he's himself. All right, sick.
Yeah. He's driving himself around.
I think in the next movie they're gonna have that growth where it's like he realized he has to play the playboy philanthropist role in order to make more change by day and then as Batman by night. And I'm hoping they touch on that. But also, you brought up like Clayface and Poison Ivy, and I'm curious, Matt Reeves says he wants this to be pretty grounded and it's not going to touch anything else. It's its own standalone thing. That makes me very happy.
Awesome.
Oh, okay, cool.
Especially because it's not necessary at this stage in Batman's career. That metahuman shit get introduced around the Superman time. But you've got, again, like I said, you've got Zaz, you've got Scarface, you've got Two-Face, you've got you've got Scarecrow, which is kind of I don't know. You got the Riddler, which we've already seen. He could go back to like Ra's al Ghul and his daughter sort of stuff, right? Like we can get more story and history into like how he became who he is. I don't necessarily need to see Bane or Mr. Freeze. That's not like anything I need, but
I would like some sort of realistic interpretation though, one that does it. But like I guess what more can you really do with his wife is frozen for the sake of a disease that Mr. Freeze is trying to find a cure to? Like what more can you do with that hasn't, if that's his origin?
Well, not origin aside, but just storyline, the way this Robert Pattinson shows up, I feel like this Batman Year 2 would just give him the money to continue his research so that he wouldn't have to steal to get it. Like this Batman still feels very naive and innocent, right? Like doing it for the right reasons. He hasn't calloused over. But there were some instances where he was fighting where I was like, that guy's dead. That guy's dead. That guy's dead. Like when Captain America threw the shield in the guy's chest after he knocked him down, I was like, that guy's dead.
That guy can't breathe right now. Is no one gonna help him?
So there were the first in the trailer where Batman is pummeling that kid in the face with his like crush proof gloves and shit. I'm like, that guy's dead.
Yeah. Oh, and the guy at the end of that scene too, where he tasers him in the neck in the rain. Yeah. Like, hey, that felt like an Arkham game. If it just looks like it too. That I will say this though, with the Dark Knight, with that whole trilogy, the fight scenes are not nearly as good as what was in here. Because because the way it's shot, if you look at it, is just like it's very close, it's quick cuts, there's some really good like single panning shots of the fighting, but other than that, it's like it's really hard to get a grip of what's going on. And this one, you really see him take down other members. It's so good. Yeah.
So I think it's good, but for the opposite reason that you just said, because my impression of what Matt Reeves was doing with the cinematography was that he was letting your imagination fill in the gaps, right? There was a lot of scenes where you knew Batman was going to town, but you saw it in flashes, right? The famous one is walking into Falcone's and then the muzzle flashes as he's fighting. The first one on the subway platform, right? Like, because that's being shot in the shadows almost, and you sort of see what he's doing. Where he first meets the Penguin, there are parts of that because the club is like strobe lighting, so you don't really see all the hits. You can go like, that's a great way to mask a fight scene, because when you have like full lights on everybody in the middle of a mall, you can see somebody like, that punch sucked or something. But
Yeah.
this was like a great way to sort of hide that, and also the mystique of like what actually happened. Did that bat get fucking? I loved when he took the bat from the guy and he fucking bonks him on the head with it, and he throws it at the guy with the gun. That was the
Yeah.
single best moment where he first meets Penguin. He's oh whoa easy there, killer, tough guy. You're everything they say you are. The guy
Yeah.
hits him in the side with a bat, and he takes it, and he clumps him on the head, and a guy shoots at him in the back, and he fucking throws it at him at like point blank range. That was amazing.
It's like literally a combo from Arkham.
Yeah, basically. Get that out of your head. Stop seeing
no-
this movie through that lens, please, for the
I-
love of God.
I can't because he fits him perfectly. Like, here's the thing. I like an armored Batman. I like when he looks like he actually can take a bullet. I don't the BVS Zack Snyder version, the suit looks great, but at the same time, it looks like it's just like tough, thin material. And like I get what I'm saying, but at the same time, it just looks like a bullet can still go through it. I like the armor that this has and the chisel on his jawline. Something about a superhero with a good jawline. Love it.
Here's the other
Nailed it.
thing. So Affleck's Batman got stabbed in the shoulder, and I was like, and that was in the middle of a well-lit, great fight scene where I'm like, he killed a few. Now I'm not gonna cry over that.
He's killed a
But
few people in every movie, but the Ben Affleck version. But yeah,
the Pattinson Batman suit that I didn't like was the jawline thing. I don't give
Really?
a fuck how tough you are. If somebody connects, even with like an errant blow, and it I saw a UFC fight where someone just got fucking front kicked right to the jaw.
Yeah.
It causes a concussed motion. It pinches that nerve back there. If you're a human being, you're out like a light. I don't care if you're Batman. Like Tony Stark figured this out. I don't know why why it's so hard. And the only reason I can think of, it's that old social justice adage where Batman needs to let people know that he's white so that they don't kill him.
that's funny. I feel okay.
This is a structural integrity flaw. Why keep this open?
Yeah, but also having a cape is a flaw because he was about to be murdered as they were pulling him towards the edge on the cape. So
the cape served a utility purpose as he jumps off the building, right? It became his like zip line.
Yeah.
So the cape has a very real purpose. It also catches projectiles and shit. Like it serves a purpose.
I think at the same time, it's still a comic book movie that you have to ignore some of those factors. Like, because if we're going by a punch to the jaw would have knocked him out, at the same time, I was like, oh man, this is so great and real and grounded. And then he skydives off the building in that suit. And I'm like, oh, that's brilliant to make it like skydiving suit. And then he fucking nicks his head on the train and he's dead. His parachute gets caught and then he
hit
whips
that
into the
head
train.
first or shoulder first or whatever. He's
dead.
That I was like, how do you get up from that?
Yeah.
That
like he's like limping away. He should have been on the ground unconscious.
So Bruce Wayne then shows up to a fucking funeral with a crutch and a cast, and everyone's like, "What the fuck did that never happened?" But that's why Bruce Wayne keeps showing up to the board meetings with all these various fucking injuries. Like, what the hell is going on here? That's one of the parts that I don't think anybody's figured out. Like Reeves got it so close, but then when I saw him clip that train trestle, that was the negative blemish for me. Because I was like, dude, you kept it so real up until
I think that is real because I literally asked. No, I shit you not. The first time I saw it, I asked my friend to my right, and I was like, how is he gonna land? Is he gonna hit something on the way out? Because you're gambling on that skydive that you're not gonna hit some shit.
How fast do you think he was going? Put in a miles per hour in a fly suit. Let's just.
I've never skydived. He's got to be
at
least
fast
double.
Does a fly suit go? How fast does a wingsuit go? Is a wingsuit descent rates as low as 25 miles an hour and horizontal speeds up to 220 miles an hour. So let's just say he was jumped from a building, right? Let's just say at some point he may have gotten close to terminal velocity, but let's just say the parachute slowed down 80% of that, right?
It immediately got caught.
Let's just say he was going 20 miles an hour. If you charge that train trestle, Aaron, I put you in full football gear and I say you need to run head on into that wall. Build up as much speed on this bike as you can. You're fucked up.
Yeah.
He clipped it coming out of the air on a wingsuit.
Yeah, so he should be dead.
his shoulder is dislocated at a minimum.
That's what I'm saying.
And
like,
that's at a minimum.
If I can suspend my disbelief on that, even though I saw that coming, I can suspend his jawline being an open weakness.
Yes.
But you also brought up a good point that saying you do. It's a theory that it's like it was a white white privilege safety. Don't shoot me because this thing. A, I'm sure that's definitely seated somewhere in Bob Kane's origins for this. B, because of the time he came from. But B, shit. No, right. Did you hear people on Twitter complained about the social justice comments in this movie?
Well, so
and
Zoe Kravitz.
Did you even think
Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle brought up privilege, right? That's such a hot button, the right wing reactionary word, like these privileged people, like people in their privilege. She brought that up, and my thought instantly went to the fucking chuds on social media are gonna flip out over the use of the word privilege. First, they're gonna flip out
100%
over Black Catwoman with no frame of reference for Eartha Kitt whatsoever. They're just gonna flip out on it. And Jim Gordon. And as even keeled as I can play it, there were no overt tones of like social justice outside of the new mayor talking about redistribution and like appropriating proper funds, because the old renewal fund was just like a slush fund for mob siphons. But that wasn't forced. That wasn't like spoon forced down your throat. None of it was. None of it.
No.
Yeah.
Like, I completely agree. See, like, when I heard people complaining about that was before I saw the movie. I was like, oh, I hope it doesn't get too heavy-handed with it. And to my surprise, there was fucking 2 things about it that barely alluded to it. Her saying white privilege was like the most insane thing anyone could ever get fucking mad about. Like, it makes no sense at all. Yeah. I watched a Philip DeFranco episode too around the time, and one reviewer was like, people were dissecting all the good characters in the movies are Black characters, like Jim Gordon and Selena and Catwoman. And I'm like, you're insane. You're fucking insane. The fact that you're trying to make that illusion, because think about so many fucking movies where the white savior is like, no one questions that bullshit. Like, that's not the point of this movie.
Batman is the ultimate white savior.
Yeah, right? But at the same time, that's not what this...
If he really wanted to make a change, he could fucking really redistribute some renewal funds and build not even like middle income housing and appropriate it for low income housing. Like he could do way more than just kicking the shit out of henchmen who are trying to make ends meet, right?
Yeah.
Like that's Batman's whole fucking thing. This father of 3 working, as a security guard might, turn an eye to a drug deal going because he's getting tossed a stack of cash. Does that guy really deserve a broken arm? Like, no.
Yeah.
And that's been the rub on Batman the whole time. But when people out themselves with that sort of criticism, I keep a 50-50 keel. Yeah, it's a huge self-report. I keep an even keel with most people. You're allowed one, everybody gets one. But when you say something as shitty as that, I just completely write you off. Everything that you say after that, I don't listen to. I assume your views on other things are just as dog shit. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
We have no. Oh, so and so is going to be at this party. Like, I don't want to deal with that. He's going to get drunk and he's going to tell me how much of a affirmative action hire Zoe Kravitz was for Catwoman or some shit. Like, I just don't want to deal with people like that.
It's fucking absurd to have to hear those types of complaints, especially this movie doesn't even touch on that. It isn't even remotely about it.
And like I would even say it like barely scratches the surface. If you would even, it like looks at the surface. It was like, there it is. Okay, yeah. And that's
it looks at it. It keeps walking. It states it there, and I love it because that lets you as the audience think about it. But unfortunately, some idiots will think about it the wrong way and be like, no, it's there is no white privilege, or how dare she say that? But it's like, even in the context of the movie, it's just about the disparity between the wealthy and the middle class or the lower middle class. So it's just, and they let you sit on that and they let you feel the desperateness in that world. And you're right, like another suspension of disbelief. If Batman really wanted to help, he shouldn't be saying, "Am I even making a difference?" Sitting on his mansion wad of bed of money. Like, especially too, there's studies that show the economic environment adds a lot to crime in an area.
Studies that show it's called common sense for sure. Like, I don't need
I have studies. To show me no one believes me if I don't have a study.
But it was almost appropriate for the Riddler to target Bruce Wayne, because it would be hard. You'd be hard pressed to believe you inherited all of this. you have not looked at any of the figures inside the renewal budget. You're just operating as is. You like, how deep? Like, I don't believe that you should pay for the things that your dad did, but at the same time, you've taken the reins of his company. Have you not looked at the fucking books? Do you not see where, like, why is this whole Falcone revelation, Mr. fucking detective, such a big world's best detective? And you're piecing this together now. Like, you don't yeah, so that sort of like prep school obliviousness of Bruce Wayne upsets me a little bit.
Honestly, it's room for growth, in my opinion. I'm fine with some of the stuff like that because it feels like if he's just this rich emo playboy, then
other Batmans try to portray him as. Not this one, though.
What do you mean?
All other versions of Batman, even Bale's Batman, they try to portray Bruce Wayne as like a socialite Kardashian.
Yeah,
but this guy, he doesn't have time for that. Robert Pattinson's guy doesn't really have time for that. So in the future ones, I wonder if he plays into that or if he goes more business. I don't know.
I'm going to make a bet, and I'm hoping that they go with this movie just shows how badly Batman needs to be Bruce Wayne sometimes. And it shows how crazy Batman is because he has to balance these two lives so juxtaposed to each other. But Bruce Wayne's always the mask. That's the fun part of it. It's not actually Batman. That's where he feels most comfortable. And that's why I love in this movie that I get to see Batman in the costume just doing detective work, doing the detectives' jobs better than them. In the Batman suit. It's great.
You have seen, I'd say Robert Pattinson spends 95% of this movie in the bat suit. He is Batman way more than he's Bruce Wayne. You don't even get to see his face, and when you do, it's covered with the muck of just taking off the black tar around the eyes and the mask. He for most of this movie, he is Batman. And the Riddler talks about that too when he goes to pay him a visit. He's like, what, it doesn't even matter who you are under that mask. Like, I'm staring at who you really are. The mask just, and I really fucking love this because I got a thing about masks. When you give somebody a mask, they'll tell you the truth, right? Internet anonymity, right? That's why I go to the depths of the darkest parts of the internet to be like, this is what people really think. This is what 4chan, fuck VR chat is tame. But there is a trailer for Batman VR, and it's Mark Hamill voicing over the Joker. And the Joker is talking to you, Batman, and he's basically saying the same things as the Riddler. He's like, who are you when you put on that mask? He's like, do you want the world to fade away, or do you want to fade away from the world? And it's like, you are whoever you think you are. It's like, when you find a mask that fits, like, you never have to take it off. That whole thing is why I'm in love with Batman, because he is human, but this whole mask thing, it's another reason why I love Rorschach from The Watchmen, because his mask his mask is whatever you see, right? Whatever you think you see, whatever you think you're looking at. And that's all Rorschach is like. Is he a justice character, or is he just like a vengeance character? Honestly, I would prefer to see Batman. The movie is called The Batman, right? I don't want to see Bruce Wayne extracurriculars. I think I think Nolan's universe had way too much of that. It was way too much of Christian Bale acting versus Batman being a detective.
You mean not acting in general, acting as Batman, or acting as
Bruce
Wayne,
Batman? Right? Like there was So this is me being negative, where I'm thinking he probably negotiated, like, I want to do this scene, I want to recite these scenes will play better if I deliver it as a human, right? You don't want Batman delivering, you want Bruce Wayne delivering this, and blah blah blah. And
I guess, okay.
This is me projecting that sort of awful box office producer life with too much influence into how the film should be made. I'm hoping that Reeves is super happy with how this turned out and doesn't have like a director's cut that he wants to get off, because I think this was a complete film end to end.
I don't think he'll do that. He didn't do it for like his Rise of the Planet of the Apes trilogy, and I feel like Warner Brothers gave him a lot of freedom to do what he wanted with this movie, because he can make it its own little solo pocket universe. It doesn't have to be affected by Flashpoint or anything like that. I don't even see how he would go up against a Batman. He'd just get his ass beat like with a flick. I think when it comes to like the rich playboy part of it of Bruce Wayne, I'm okay with it. Even in The Dark Knight, I just don't want it to take over the film. And in The Dark Knight, I don't think it did. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I don't remember that drowning it out for me. But the strength of this film is for sure that you see Batman doing all the work, like him in the costume 95% of the time, and being stuck in that role not only adds to just how cool he looks in it, but also it majorly adds to like the point that Batman is going to have to use his mask by day, at some point to get more things done.
They talk about it he narrates it in the beginning that over the past 2 years, he's completely transitioned to a nocturnal animal, which like the bat thing sort of fits. And he talks about not having enough time, like waking time to do anything, right? Like he's basically resting during the day. And then at night, he's like on the prowl for, abuses.
Yeah.
And there are snippets of the Snyderverse that I really love, and one of them was Wanda, the Wanda snippet at the end of Suicide Squad, where Affleck comes in and he's looking for the other metahumans, and she goes, "You should stop working nights." It's like, "You look tired. You should stop working nights." And it's just like little things like that I just fucking love.
Yeah. I like the nod to that. They're still doing something between films, like or this is what happened in between these moments. I like those that types of nods. Not a fan of that Suicide Squad movie, but we'll talk about that later. And I also wanted to ask you, like, what did you think of, I guess, the mystery of it, like how it went, how the Riddler led you through everything? What did you think of that? Because I thought I didn't really guess what was coming up next when they had a riddle. Lauren was good at it, but I was not.
I really disliked Paul Dano as an actor, not because he didn't have chops, but because he has such a punchable face.
Well, he's perfect for this.
Yeah. I'm not really familiar with any of his other work outside of There Will Be Blood.
Oh yeah, he was great.
He was great in that and awful at the same time. But in terms of like the Riddler, he was also he was Little Miss Sunshine. There, Looper,
Swiss Army Man. I never saw.
Shit. Cowboys and Aliens, of course. But
no one
outside of there, his version of the Riddler was great in its planned psychopathy, I guess. I don't even know if that's a word, but if somebody is hung up on something long enough and they have nothing but time to think about how to get back at you, of course they're going to think it through and be as elaborate as possible. And the Riddler being one seriously motivated individual with I wouldn't call him a genius level intellect, but in the cartoon he kind of is. In this film, not so much, but I think he served his purpose in terms of a main villain for this movie really, really well. I'm happy they went with the Riddler for this, and I really loved what he did with it. I did like the ending Arkham back and forth with him and the Joker. I love that.
That scene just feels so unnecessary to me, but that's the only scene you could have cut and been fine. Like, you didn't need to know, because he already said he's been working at this for 2 years. So even if the Riddler was the first villain he met, it still implies this was a villain that outsmarted Batman. Because think about it, there were most times where Batman was catching up to what Riddler was doing. He didn't stop Riddler before he broke the dam, before he blew up the dam. He had to go back to his apartment. What
are you talking about?
The Riddler outsmarted Batman.
Sure. Well, he put a plan in motion and he was ahead of Batman. I don't think he outsmarted Batman, because Batman was able to decipher and then catch up to him. It's like the Riddler ran a race and got a head start, and Batman like caught up to him, not in time, but he caught up to him. But I wouldn't call him I wouldn't say he outsmarted Batman.
Well, I guess the need to have to catch up, like, I guess getting the head start is a good thing, but at the same time, it seemed like Batman was like, if that cop didn't tell him that thing was like a floor scraper thing that would rip up carpets, he wouldn't have done that, and he wouldn't have known that the bombs were about to go off in the first place. So I think there's sometimes moments where you see Riddler is just as smart as Batman, and with that head start was lethal. Like, Batman needed to be on his toes and even faster to catch up before those bombs went off.
There was a psychological So they weren't going to fight each other hand to hand, but there's always like a psychological argument or a psychological fight. And that played out in prison, and that was really well done, where Batman thought that the Riddler knew who he was, right? And just kind of played the still game and got through that. The Riddler had more of the plan, and he was like, I thought you figured it all out. He's like, you're really not as smart as I thought you were. And then the second part of that was Batman teasing him and, saying, I got you. You're done. You're going to die in here a nobody. Nobody will ever remember you. And that really tortured the Riddler, right? Like that. He thought he was going to be some grandiose, like the world's going to remember me. And Batman's like, we're going to stick you in a hole here. People forget about you next week.
Yeah.
And so it's that kind of back and forth. And also I love what they did with the real life FaceTime conversations with
and the bomb
Batman
sequence.
Yeah. Or even they had another conversation too, but no, it was a leftover message. But yeah, the bomb sequence with the live riddles were really great.
Like that scene had so much tension.
Right? You don't fucking fight head on with Batman. But so it also reveals the mask of Gordon's impression of Batman is our impression of Batman. He thinks he's like a super smart detective, but really he's got Alfred also fucking helping him figure this shit out. And he's got state-of-the-art technology where he can see something one time and capture it forever, then break it down at his leisure. You know what I mean? But to Gordon, this guy's a magician, right? He's here one minute, he's gone the next. He's like,
he's already solved a clue or found something else.
I need to go get a warrant to raid this joint, and by the time I get the warrant, he's gonna know we're coming. He's like, maybe you should go pay him a visit without the warrant, right? Like that's the perfect good cop, bad cop. And I like that in the small snippet of conversation that they had, the Penguin was like giving them shit. He's like, you guys are fucking idiots. It's like, you guys don't know the difference between like the Spanish language thing, La Rata and El Rata. Like, what the hell's the matter with you guys? But
that was so good.
There was one scene where they walk into that and Gordon pulls out a gun and Batman's like, no guns. And Gordon's like, that's your thing. It's like, don't fucking put me in your hole. Like, no, that's on you. I have a badge, bro. You can't go around killing people. And I think that 5 seconds laid out perfectly their relationship.
Yeah, 100%. Like there's a lot of respect between them. The dynamic between Jim, it feels like he doesn't even need like a Robin or a Catwoman or anything, because him and Jim are just so on par with what the other needs to do to get the thing done, to get the job done.
Gordon, I like that this movie was really well written in that you can pull out a lot. You could do a lot with lines where you don't have to visually tell the story. And one of the things was like they were talking about who they trust, and Gordon was like, oh, you trust him as much as you trust me, and Batman was like, I only trust myself. No, Batman was like, I trust you, and Gordon was like, I know you 2 years, I have no idea who the fuck you are. He's like, so much for fucking trust. He's like, I know you 2 years, brother, I have no idea who you are. Like you could be taking me for a ride,
but there's still that
he put his career on the line for Batman
multiple times.
He trusts Batman infinitely, and he put his career on the line for him multiple times in the movie, and he doesn't even know who the fuck this guy is.
I know.
Sideways.
It plays perfectly. I do want to touch on one last thing, because like you touched on the screen, the script, and then versus it doesn't have to be like shot well. I think the fun of a movie is being able to emote something through a camera motion.
Not shot well. It does need to be shot well, but like you don't need to hold people's hands visually to explain something. You can get it done in a few lines, and that was happening all out this movie. Yeah,
I feel like sometimes with a quick cutaway, you can explain something that could be a few lines as well. You know what I mean? Because like
Peter Griffin effect.
No,
we're gonna do this flashback that totally jostles you.
I shouldn't have said a cutaway, but like a shot that explains something. It gives the movie more rewatchability, because even rewatching the movie, it feels like there's more things to pick up on. There's little Easter eggs that aren't just comic book references. There's things that allude to stuff that happens later in the movie that I like.
Sure,
picking up on.
If you can make a flashback dense and put a lot of things in it that like you
not a flashback.
If you can put a cutaway make it dense and put things through there, but you can do that on the narrative of the film in its normal timeline. You don't necessarily need I'm Morty, right? I'm not a big fan of flashbacks. We should start our films we should start our stories where they begin and just move
I agree
forward.
with that. I guess I should not have said cutaway, because I'm not implying a flashback. I mean, like, with your camera work, just how it moves in the scene. You can emote how the character is feeling. You can emote what the tension of the scene is. You can emote a lot of things through just the movement of a camera. So when it comes to this movie, there's a lot of beautiful looking scenes that perfectly show what Batman is feeling.
I think we're talking about two different. I think we're talking about two different things, though, because I'm talking about like the nature of the integrity of their relationship. You don't necessarily need to show a slow motion jog of them running down the beach together, holding hands, to be like, oh, these guys have rapport, or like, you don't need to show them like playing volleyball together on a beach, Top Gun style, in a montage.
Just don't think that
to get the rapport between the characters. You can the lines that Gordon laid out, you definitely get that.
Just don't think that's what I'm asking for when I say something like that.
That's exactly what's going on in my mind.
I do not want a Top Gun montage of them high-fiving on a volleyball beach. I don't want that shit. I'm just saying, like, I don't know how to describe it now. I've lost the plot. But regardless, I think
multiple times through this conversation, Aaron, multiple times.
Both. But I think the movie is shot beautifully and written really well, and I saw it a second time in theaters before. I did
twice.
I didn't realize it was coming. Yeah, I watched when I love the movie. I'll go see it again, and that's why I like picking up new things on the rewatch.
Way to
and
throw
it's
your
like
money away.
It's like this. I support the theater.
That's fair.
Like, if it feels very authentic, there were still things to pick up on that were like, I'm not trying to say quick cutaways, but there's like things in the background of the clues that Riddler had set up of a scene that's just him dissecting the notes, and you can make that out before Batman does. But I didn't. And I couldn't, but you can. And I like those illusions, the foreshadowing, I guess you should say.
I think so. At one point, they do show the cipher on screen, and at other points, the Riddler talks about, "Oh my God, there's so much that you still haven't figured out." I think inside there you can leave more Easter eggs. Like you don't necessarily have to do crazy cut stuff, but I think they did open that possibility to superimpose a hidden meaning where there really wasn't any on the first pass. But it'd be like, it was there the whole time, like you can start getting that Marvel, like, oh my God, they planned so far ahead for this, when really, like, no, you're just making that stuff relevant to your future movie, to where you're adding some of these hidden gems in it. But overall, solid film. And I think I'm going to grade this within the context of like these movies, when they come out, they have so much hype around them. And like, I might look at this movie differently in 5 to 10 years and be like, man, like I did with Mortal Kombat, I gave it a lower one when really I'd give it higher now. Or I'll look at Justice League and be like, you know what? It wasn't really that great. It was solid, but it wasn't that great. But I was super hyped on it when it came out.
Huh.
I don't know. I'm going to rate it now through that lens. And I think in about 10 to 15, even 20 years time, this film as a standalone still holds water. And I'm going to give it a 96.
Really? Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That's near perfect.
If you don't make another Batman film after this, so the second Batman will unfortunately weigh into this one. If they make another one in this dog shit, then this 96 is going to look like a really big kick in the nuts of a rating. It's going to be like, Warren, what the fuck were you thinking? Right? But if they just leave this in stasis and they don't make another Batman film, it's a really, really good film. You don't even need to be a Batman fan to like this film. Yeah. It wasn't really a superhero movie. It was an action movie. It
felt like they were trying to do the Zodiac, but in the Batman world, like the movie Zodiac. And I really, I enjoyed that film. And I felt like this take me on a similar track.
Matt Reeves, when you mentioned Matt Reeves and, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, this absolutely feels like that.
Right.
It feels the exact same of like the low level threat of violence everywhere.
Yeah, it keeps the tension up, and it felt, and for some reason he's really good at still keeping the world feel grounded no matter what it's trying to say, whether it's Caesar turning into a talking Caesar or Batman just solving crimes fully in the costume 90% of the time. Fucking works. I think though I want to toss this movie at a 90. I'm gonna toss it out of 100 because
That's fair.
I'm definitely gonna rewatch this shit again, and every character has something about them that I enjoy their interactions with each other. You know what I mean? Like it just works, and everybody does really good. And Robert Pattinson is a fantastic actor. I don't watch it. I never saw him in Twilight. Always loved his indie films. Good Time.
He knows how to pick his
Lighthouse.
roles.
He's so good at doing that. I still need to see Tenet, but I heard mixed reviews on that one, so I'm not hyped about it.
Time travel movies always give a fucking, people are always iffy on it. One of the people that I think stands out, Colin Farrell's just a great actor. You know what
Seriously.
you know you're getting a solid buy when you book this actor to be in your project. But Zoe Kravitz, I think, really showed that she has like box office staying power. She is a leading lady. I would watch her in something standalone. Actually, I did watch her in something standalone on HBO Max. It's this film called Kimmy, which you should watch. Kimmy,
Okay.
the premise of it, the trailer is great. The ending of it is awful. The ending of it makes me so sad because the first 2/3 of the film were so strong, but that's not her acting. I would put that at the writing of how it ended. Yeah. But even in that, I thought it was amazing. I thought she was amazing in it. So strong cast of characters, and Jeffrey Wright is just a rock star as well. He's got a thing on HBO as well, a series on HBO. From Casino Royale to he plays like an older grizzled inmate who's seen it all, is trying to guide and keep the next generation of inmates on like, yo, brother, like this isn't the way, just trying to, there are crazy gang members in prison. There are, people who convert to the Nation of Islam, and then there are like older wise inmates who like try to act as like big brother types, and he's one of those in this.
That's
film.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I think he's like battling for parole. I haven't seen it. I've seen the trailer. It's on my wish list. It's one of the many things that I haven't watched. I'm gonna do a creative weekend getaway where I just like do VR shit and binge movies.
Just dive in.
Yeah, dude. Do watch movies in VR while I do VR shit. Yeah, that's gonna be my weekend.
Oh, and last thing, this is pretty much the most accurate, best version of Jim Gordon we've ever gotten, hands down. I think he works. That's how good the dynamic is between those two. That's
a hard one because Gary Oldman, another Matt Reeves alumnus from Dawn of the Apes, was a good Gordon. Gary Oldman is a fucking crazy actor.
I love Gary Oldman. Yeah, for sure.
I agree with you that Jeffrey Wright is a better James Gordon, Commissioner Gordon. At this point, Captain Gordon, he's not commissioner yet. Another arc that might play out in the Penguin universe or in the Penguin series. He's got Batman. Oh, he's getting help from Batman to do his job. So of course he's going to be fast tracked to leadership. Right. But
he just takes
you're
all the
absolutely right. Gordon, this is the best Gordon we've ever seen, but I don't want to discount. It's not an easy choice to make, right? Oldman's Gordon was awesome as well.
I guess I'm saying that because of the writing, their dynamic in The Dark Knight. You don't see
as much
Gary.
In The Dark Knight.
Yeah, you see in The Dark Knight, you see Gary Oldman kind of point Batman in the direction of what to do, but in this movie, they are working side by side. This is just as important to either of them that this gets accomplished. For that alone, I'm like, this is probably my go-to Commissioner Gordon. But I don't want to discredit Gary Oldman. He's a fucking god. He's been in so many good movies and so many good roles. So I'm not discrediting that, but it's a close call.
Yeah. And I think like J.K. Simmons's Commissioner Gordon wasn't bad, but he was the comic book guy you needed to put in that place at that time. We didn't need to go into depth with who he was and how they got their relationship and how he started to instill his trust with Batman and stuff like that. But I honestly think there's an unfair bias to this Batman, which I completely am aware of, which plays out to the 96, because people wanted, again, I'll bring this back. People want to see how Batman became Batman, and this is that story. People have always wanted to see that. So when most Batman movies come out, it's Batman, right? Like, I'm Batman and I'm rich, and like you can explain away Batman's, I've always got a plan for everything, when really now he's not that put together and he's being caught in some unfavorable situations. And as you get older, your body can't take that kind of beating. So he has to get smarter. He has to change up his gear and his like become a little bit more robust in how he deals with shit. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I look forward to this evolution. And you say that they've greenlit a part 2. I'm excited for it, as long as they don't change directors and as long as the cast doesn't drop out.
I think he's still stuck to it for sure. I think everybody's still on board, and I don't see how you couldn't be. If you were an actor like looking for a comic book movie that had some real grit to storytelling as well, this is your movie. This is where you get to shine as an actor and as a comic book.
The only person, Entourage made fun of this, right? One of the real self-conscious things as an actor is like you get to put on this big flashy suit. Jason Momoa, every time he puts on the Aquaman suit, has to be like, God, I look like such a fucking idiot, because he doesn't see the post-production polish, right? So he's taking a leap that these studios will make him look like an asshole wearing this shitty suit, because like honestly you could look like a dickhead in your backyard playing with your cell phone if like the studio doesn't do it right. It could look like Suicide Squad, the first one, if they do it badly. So the only person who takes that risk in these movies is Robert Pattinson, right? Because the Catwoman thing, covering the nose and leaving the mouth open, they had to do that for fucking the suggestive kissing things. But like, I don't, especially because I think she's got like a mole right here. I'm like, that is a feature descriptor. I can identify you in a lineup completely just based on that, right?
Yeah, you could actually. I didn't think about it. Wait, on Zoe Kravitz?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. Also, I liked what they were trying to do with the mask, like make it cat-like.
Yeah.
Like it's just, but also I'm like, how is that really hiding anything? You know?
I like that they called the mobsters by their names, right? The fact that they didn't call her Catwoman. He just said, you got a lot of cats. Right, he was he's like, you must really like cats or some shit. And she does this whole seductive thing about, I have a thing about strays and all this other shit, and like that's the sexual tension aspect of it. But I honestly, the interplay between all of these characters was amazing.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more. I'm so excited for the sequel, even if it has the Joker in it. I think it's going to, because Matt Reeves keeps
even if it has
like,
the Joker in it.
Well, here's the thing. No,
get off your high horse, man.
Think about it. No. I'm trying to.
I'm Joker,
not
and then Joaquin
not even about
Phoenix
that.
was the best one, so we should just retire it, man.
Not even that. You can bring him in later, but I want to see more of his rogues gallery. He has a fascinating gallery. Victor Zsasz has only been in the Gotham series on Fox. Nothing else. I want to see Victor Zsasz. I want to see Hugo Strange. They're not doing that.
Scarface was only in the CW series. Scarface on the animated series was my favorite villain. My absolute favorite villain, because the guy was dealing with psychosis and had everyone believing that this doll was alive.
Oh my God. And that's what I'm saying. You can touch
I would
on that
love to see a
instead.
good Scarface. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I mean, there's so many good villains. There's so many good villains you can bring in. Mad Hatter, right? Fucking psychological guy. You could still do Scarecrow.
Honestly, actually, I had a reference. I don't know if you picked it up or ever found out about it. But we've been trying to end this, but I still have so many things I want to talk to you about it. What? Okay. Remember where he takes the venom out, or the green shit out, and he jams it in his leg? And he stabs it in his leg.
I thought about Bane as well.
That's 100% Matt confirmed. That's venom. That's for Bane. Like, it's an adrenaline drug before Bane even enters the world. So what do you think if it's Bane in the next movie? Like, I know we're kind of swinging to Joker, but too soon for Bane.
For Bane? Yeah.
One
One of the things that Nolan did, which fucked it up, was like making Bane like this like nefarious fucking subgroup leader. Bane to me has always been a blunt object, a standalone initiative pursuer. He's muscle. He's not a precision instrument. He's a blunt force object who like has control of his faculties. He's not a mastermind, right? Bane stomping through the city would have, in this world, the entire SWAT team bearing down on him.
I like that concept. Like, he's this unstoppable force. But at the same time, if Matt Reeves wants this to stay grounded, I don't see that happening. Like, I only he has to be conniving.
If you bring Bane in, let's just throw Bane away, right? Because if you bring Bane in, then you start the Nolan backbreaker arc, right? Because when people see Bane, that they automatically assume this is where Batman gets his back broken. And it doesn't happen in year 2. It happens when he's like 30 or 40.
Well, yeah, but he's known Bane before that comic Nightfall even happens.
For sure.
So that's why I'm like, it doesn't have to happen immediately. I think also that's another thing I didn't like about Dark Knight Rises. By the end of that, it was just a reference to the comics. I'm going to break his back like we did in Nightfall, and then he's going to heal in 3 months right before the bomb blows up. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's so bullshit. Right now, if you make him a smart, strong
Stop
person,
with the you're so stuck in Nolan verse, man.
I literally told you I hate Dark Knight Rises. I just said it was bullshit. And I said if you go to the Batman and you want to do no, I'm stuck in Young Justice, let's be honest, because in that comic, in season 3, Bane says, I've given up the venom. I've learned to be as strong without it, essentially. That's what he kind of says. I don't want that route to happen. What I'm saying is I think it's more compelling to have a Bane that is not only incredibly strong, but incredibly smart. So that way it gives more for Batman to come up against, to rise against. It's the thing that he has to overcome, and adding more to Bane makes that more interesting for me, personally. I don't want Bane in the next one.
Bane teeters on supervillain. I don't want supervillain. I want mobsters. I want mobster villains, and Gotham has so many of them. And the second you bring in any sort of supervillain, you lose that grounding.
Yeah, I would agree.
Can you imagine a Superman flying through the skies in this world?
No. Oh no, not at all. In fact, Superman would just sneeze and kill him.
It doesn't work. It does not work at all.
I don't need this to cross over into any other territory like that. Like, I think it's perfect
Poison
as
Ivy
this standalone. Yeah.
In this world is OP. Mr. Freeze in this world, OP. There's no grounded way to introduce characters like that, right? You instantly put in like if this is Uno, they are draw 4 cards, right? They like, that's what you throw into the deck.
Batman throws a batarang, Mr. Freeze just blasts the whole room, and then with liquid nitrogen,
dies.
And you're good. Yeah, he's good. Dies. Batman's done.
There's no recovery. I'm curious where they take it. And I think it's going to be the Harvey Dent, Scarface, Zsasz. Like, he's going to be tracking serial killers. And maybe you get a Deadshot.
I'm hoping something like that happens. I think they're going to double down on some of the stuff. Well, I just want to place a bet. I think there's going to be a time jump between this movie and the next one where it's like another 2 years for Batman, because that city was fucked. It was fucked at the end of that movie.
For sure.
Yeah.
So he says, like, in the recovery, the places where the National Guard can't reach, crime is just going to be rife. And those mobsters are going to cut out a portion of that city, whether it's Black Mask or whether it's, Scarface. But you have also a political hotbed that allows someone like Deadshot to thrive, right? Because he takes bounties and he can just pick people off. He can pick off affluent political figures from a while away. And I was going to say, in the Arkham movie, right, Batman tracks Deadshot through the trajectory of his bullets, right? He goes, okay, so he was perched up here, and then he goes, what did he leave at this scene that like gives me a clue as to who this person is?
Yeah.
So you have another sort of Riddler-esque character. I don't think they will introduce any metahumans in the next one. That's my bet.
I'm hoping not. I agree with you on that one. At most, Venom, because they already... But that's like adrenaline. That's like the equivalent of just doing adrenaline. So I'm good with that. Really excited where this franchise can go.
Maybe you see a Luthor?
I'm sure a Luthor, yeah.
Maybe in the corporate enterprise world that Batman is being forced to either reject or lean into, you get a Lex Luthor to come across.
I completely forgot, but I love Black Mask. So the fact that you brought that up, I'm like, that would be a perfect villain to just incorporate in this one. I wish they could bring back Ewan McGregor to do it, I'll be honest, but he's not going to do it.
I really liked, so in the Dark Knight on the boat, Tiny Lester Debo, when he took the bomb thing and he threw it out the window, he was in prison, but that was Black Mask, right? With the scar on his face, with the tattoo on his face.
I thought remember from my knowledge, there were 2 different versions of Black Mask. One was just a crime boss, normal guy, like kind of a little bit of a brat. And the other version was Joker was pretending to be Black Mask this whole time. So I honestly don't know if that was an Easter egg to that, but that'd be cool. If that was the scene where they did that.
So there's a fan theory in The Dark Knight. Character that Debo played, rest in peace, Tiny Lester played, was the Black Mask because of his makeup.
That's cool. I don't know how much Nolan looked into Batman before he did it, or if he was just doing it like on, I'm going to make this character feel this way. You know what I mean? Except for Nightfall, probably. But other than that, I don't know how much he looked into the comics. So I hope that's true. I have no idea.
I also wish that they would have named the Riddler Edward Nigma and not Edward something that they gave him.
Yeah, it was like Edward.
Northman or some shit.
Yeah. I don't know why they did that. I guess maybe then it just doesn't roll off the tongue. Like making it maybe it makes it more
It was
weird.
too...
It was too weird because it was like, oh wait, his actual God-given name is Edward Nigma, for Enigma. And I'm like, that's pretty lucky. That's pretty that he became a crazy Riddler killer.
Well, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the rantings of the Batman. This is probably going to be the last modern movie we do in a while. I don't know. Aaron is always, this thing just came out. We should do this. We should talk about this thing. I was like, dude, we should get you up to date on this thing, because until you watch the movies in this listing, you're going to miss so many references and callbacks. So let's get you educated first on this library of backlog of films before we talk about
fucking Dune.
All right, have you seen the original? That's
No.
What are we comparing it to now?
Oh man, okay. I don't think we should compare the Dunes visually, but
We compare
but
the Batmans. We compare all the Batmans.
But there's such a smaller gap between all those Batmans versus Dune, the original, and then Dune now. Like the level in production budget is completely different. No, we're not gonna go. We're not going into Adam. We didn't even bring up Adam West until just now.
But you're talking about like the timeline between these. Like that's the first sort of live action iteration there.
I mean, yes, but at the same time, we only touched on Nolan's trilogy, Snyder's trilogy, and this. So like to go back to Adam West is like, what are we even doing here? Like,
I'll add one thing as we approach 2 hours, right? We're supposed to keep this to an hour. That when Batman showed up on site in the first scene at the crime scene, right? All the cops had a reaction like, "Who the fuck? You trust this guy?" I couldn't help but imagine if he showed up with a sidekick dressed in dark red. I'd be like, this would be a weird sexual kink that I think that these two leather daddies show up at crime scenes and fucking like that's what would have come off to me. It's like this guy's got a little fucking sidekick now. Like he's reproducing Gordon. This is getting out of hand.
Dude, there's a ball in your sidekick's mouth.
Yeah. And then, knowing what happens in the future, be like, oh, look, the sidekick is dead. You show up to a crime scene and it's like, oh, it's the masked fucking sidekick. I guess he didn't cut it.
Guess we could trace this kid back to his family and figure out who Batman is. You know what I mean? Like,
what if that kid who's the mayor's the dad, right? What if he turns into some orphaned sidekick, right? What if Batman takes him under his... He felt an attachment to him.
I kind of want that actually, because like there was those looks and those nods between each other, and like he understood the kid's
He knew
pain.
who he was with the mask and without the mask, just how he was staring at him.
Yeah, and I think that would be a great... also, Robert Pattinson in an interview said that he would be fine if they actually brought a Robin who was like a teenager, like someone who because honestly,
Tom
you
Holland,
have to have... You got to have some... yeah, get him in there. Get Nathan Drake in there. The Nathan Drake. It would add a lot more to a Robin character if he stays like a teenager, because your heart would drop when you see that guy, that teen, just get his ass beat by some prisoners, or not prisoners, by the Joker, and then Batman has to come and help, in some way. But I agree with that. I want Robin in the next one. Teen Robin.
Right. I don't.
Without the leather. Don't give him leather.
You know what? I'll be okay if he's training him how to fight. I don't want to see him in any combat. If he just takes his kid and you know who this kid becomes, I'm okay with that. I don't want a sidekick thing. I don't want Gordon's daughter. I don't want any of that. None of that. Batgirl, nothing. No, just let's keep this with Patton.
Also, another reason I hated Dark Knight Rises, because Joseph Gordon-Levitt was like, oh, I'm going to be the next Batman.
I'm Nightwing or whoever the fuck, yeah.
But in my mind, he dies like within the first month of being Joseph Gordon-Levitt Batman. He doesn't do anything.
Well, we've ranted about this long enough. I think I'm gonna call it. Aaron, you got any last words?
No.